Hi there everyone, welcome back to a rather special live stream this morning, and we've got the 2020 announcements from Oxford Rail. Now, people have been asking me what actual time these come, and in all honesty with you, I don't know. I have looked everywhere for information, and all I've basically got is the announcements will take place in the morning of the 21st of January, which is now. But as of yet, there's nothing come in. So it's just a case of just playing it by ear, I guess. Now, let me just fix I've got cables just catching everywhere. Just move that to one side. But don't forget that as we learn the news, we will be going through that, talking through the posts. Now, we've got Adi Pullen in the chat room. Hi to you. You are the first, so well done to you, sir. Essentially, let's just refresh the page. I'm going on the Oxford Rail Facebook page, which is where they seem to like to communicate. So as of now, let's just refresh that. There is still no information. So I'm going to go over to... managed to find some information on the Oxford diecast developments. So I have no idea where this person over on RM Web has managed to glean this from. I have not been able to find a copy of this list, so I'm going to go off this picture that I found here. So Oxford Diecast, we're looking down. It seems to be mostly re-liveries looking at this. To be honest with you, the actual vehicles, I can't say that I'm actually a big aficionado of different vehicles. Looking down here, it does seem to be re-liveries of existing vehicles. What's interesting is this, the Invercar in pale blue. Those of you of a certain age will remember these. The Motability scheme in the UK, before they basically just gave you a grant to convert an ordinary car, they used to give you these things, little rolling death traps. And I remember in my youth these things trundling about. You almost never see them now. I believe that because they were technically the property of the Motability scheme, when they were deemed as deeply unsafe, I guess their crash testing was woeful, and they were all recalled and got rid of. And I remember down in Ustragunlice when I lived there was somebody had an old one in their back garden just dumped there. And I don't know what the story behind that was, or indeed if it's still there. I think the bodies were fiberglass. So basically, it never rotted away, although the chassis might do underneath. Actually, Adi Pullen says diecast was done last night. So that does explain it. So essentially at the moment, we've just got the diecast to go on. So I'm just having a quick look through. We've also got Berry120, hi to you. Angus's Trains, hi to you. Chris McKinney, hi to you. Angus's Trains, you were a moderator. I don't know what's going on there. We're still having issues with the updated version of OBS. In fact, actually, it crashed out on us a minute before. But I don't get the 3 dots when I hover over people's names. I know you have to press the 3 dots to make them a moderator. So I'm really sorry, Angus. There's still issues in this version of the software. Michaels underscore AFOL, good evening to you. It's actually morning here, so I don't know what day you're on. We're in Tuesday. Are you saying hello from the future or the past? That darn international dateline, it gets you every time, doesn't it? New Mills Model Railway, also morning to you. And this is a special live stream here on the Jenny Monday Club. Takes a jaunt into Tuesday for the Oxford Diecast 2020 announcements. Now, we've just been talking a bit about that Invercar, and that is down as new tooling. I must admit that actually for a model layout set anywhere from, I guess, the 1960s onwards, I'm not sure when these were actually introduced, but certainly they were trundling around even into the very early 1990s in the UK. That's actually a good addition for a great many layouts, potentially. Sometimes these things, once they're gone, it's easy to forget about their existence. Angus's Train says the time in Australia is 8:04 p.m. Tuesday the 21st. Aha! So you're in the future, but you're still in the same day. Michael's AFOL also reiterates that Tuesday evening here, so hello from the future. Hello to you. Which actually gives me to think, are they doing a DeLorean? Actually, a DeLorean would be great. Does anybody actually do a 1 to 76 or a 1 to 72 or even a 1 to 83? I'm not fussed. I'll put it a bit further back in the background. A DeLorean model ready to run. That would actually be quite nice. But let's have a look as well. Graham MCK says, good morning, Jen. Nice to see the new Land Rover Defenders. Yeah, there's certainly quite a bit of new tooling here. So blue Jaguar E-Type pace car, new tooling. Jaguar 1 pace, new tooling. Defender 110s, Defender 90 as well, all new tooling. And then we just got re-liveries of existing models. And actually, I do like the re-liveries, because quite often when a model first comes out, it isn't necessarily in the livery that you might want. And also, even if you have got that model in that livery, it's nice to see it come out in a different livery, different identity, because there was more than one Ford Cortina in the world, believe it or not. Also got some of the trader vans, so modern and old. The Ready Fusion van actually there. It's a Ford 400e van. I'm guessing that's what, 60s into 70s. Ready Fusion was actually the Hong Kong TV company, but I believe that they had like a chain of, may even be like TV rental thing in the UK. I'm not entirely sure about that. New tooling, AEC 690 dumper truck in wimpy livery and also a cement mixer as well. So we've got the two illustrated there. Really interesting. Now, right, I'm just going to go and I am going to check. I'm going to check whether there's been an update from Oxford Rail. Absolutely nothing. I have to say, absolutely nothing at all. So just keeping an eye on that, but that may be slow to update. So we're just going to have a quick look through here. In fact, I'm going to ignore a lot of the re-liveries. Let's look for the new tool. It's Austin Champ. Gosh, they're basically the predecessor to the Land Rover. The Series 1 Land Rover turns up in, I think it's about 1947, 48. So it is actually a post-World War II development, which is why you never see a Land Rover in any war films from the Second World War, because they didn't exist. But the Austin Champ was kind of the predecessor that the Land Rover was, in a lot of ways, modelled upon. So it's nice to see a new tooling version of that. 7-piece Royals set. Now it's interesting there. You might be thinking, okay, the Daimler limousine, I get that. But in terms of the other ones, one of the things that does stand out to me, the Reliant Scimitar. I think that was that Princess Margaret or Princess Anne had a Reliant Scimitar in the 70s. And I believe that is her car. There's also, is that the Range Rover that Philip ended up on the roof in? It may well be, actually. So I'm guessing some of these are cars of the Playboy Royals. Graham MCK says, Mercedes Sprinter van will be good. The last Sprinters was done by Creative Master Northcourt, so hopefully, knowing Oxford, these will be as good. Angus's trains... oh, sorry, we've already read that about the time, yeah. A.D. Pullen says, Corgi do it, I think. I'll have to check that out. I wouldn't mind a DeLorean, actually. I do quite like the idea. A little... oh, the Cupboard Monkey... The Cupboard Monkey has been drawn by the Nerd Musk of the mention of a DeLorean. We're having some of the more American outline stuff here. Buick Century Estate Wagon, 1954 Rainier, new tooling. Chrysler TNC, the Woody Wagon, 1942 Regal.
Is there a Buzz Wagon as well?
No, there isn't, Zoe. Yeah, she just says there a Buzz Wagon as well. Dodge B1B pickup, 1948. An Imperial Crown two-door hardtop from 1959. So those who want to go for the Americana kind of period, Oxford Rail have got you covered. Just looking down... Oh gosh, you can get the Goldfinger Ford Mustang convertible, 1965. My father-in-law would love one of those. I think he's probably already got a model of it from the James Bond car collection. But that's pretty much all the announcements there. So yeah, Frank Feely says Princess Anne for the Scimitar. Graham MCK, the Glasgow fire truck. Is that the airport ones? I'm just going to scroll up. Bish, bash, bosh. I'm just looking for the listing. Yes, one of them is the Thornycroft Nubian is Glasgow, and the other one's Duxford. So we got a Glasgow one and a Duxford Aerodrome one. So yes, I didn't realise they were made by Thornycroft. They are a beefy machine. Quite long lasting as well if you're going to model an airport scene. I'm also actually looking at some of those. I think are they Mark 1 Transits? Yes, they are. Ford Mark 1 Transit in RAC livery. Again, that's one that I kind of have my eye on. I was that Police Range Rover, third generation. Now, that's probably a bit late for me. I do like the Mark 1 and Mark 2 Range Rovers, it has to be said. Right, so what we're going to do now, we're going to go back and we're going to check, has there been an update? No, there hasn't. So let's go to the Oxford Rail website and we'll just have to do a quick check. Let's do another bish bash bosh. By manufacturer. Oops. No, by theme. We want the Oxford Rail website. By range, that's the one we want. Gosh, blooming Matador websites. Olé! As soon as you try and click something. I have a feeling, yeah, we're in the wrong website here. So we need to go to Google is your friend. Here, let me Google that for you. I will just bear with me. In fact, actually, let's just 3. So, excuse my wet hair. I've just quickly had a bath this morning. It is early after all here in the UK. So let's go to Oxford Rail. They don't tend to use their website anymore, which is a bit of a shame. Tend to do everything through the Book of Face, but I'm looking down here. Yeah, there's no new information, so we're just gonna have to chat amongst ourselves, I guess. Let's just have a look. Interesting enough, these Oxford structures now appear to have passed to the Hornby Scaledale range, although still with the catalogue number for Oxford Rail. They are actually pretty good structures. I've got one of these signal boxes upstairs on Weir Yard. But let's have a look. Angus's Train says it's a nice small chat tonight. Yes, I guess it is. It's actually a lot easier to keep up with the comments coming in. It doesn't tell me on this computer how many people are watching, so I am curious. I don't know, anybody tell me the figure. How many people do we have in the chat room? Don't forget to click the like button, by the way. Also, I'd like to extend a big thanks to Ken Patterson, who, if he does watch this, is probably more likely to be watching this later in the day. I don't know what time it is, actually, where he is. But apparently, 36:35. Shannon Man 2 says 36. Eddie Pullen says 35. So yeah, it's a nice intimate thing. Basically, it's just like a little small group of us, like we're chatting in the snug in the pub. I forgot what I was talking about. I haven't had a lot to eat this morning. It's still early, and my mind has gone blank. What was I talking about? Oh gosh, that's going to bug me now. Morning all to Ewood Railway. Graham MCK says 35 with one in the shower, and the little one said, yeah, there was 3 in a bed, and the little one said, who are you guys? Angus's Trains, did you order the limited edition rocket? I actually didn't, it has to be said. I've got the main range one, the limited edition one, which is the same model as far as I can tell. Somebody did suggest that the coaches had different identities. As far as I'm aware, that is not the case. It's just a difference in packaging as to whether you basically got modern Hornby packaging or period Triang packaging to fit with when the original version of the rocket came out in, I think it was 1968. Let's have a look now. I can see this being quite a long-winded thing. Let's just see now. Is it deceitfully hiding stuff from me? Oh no, go away, silly thing. Is there anything? There's nothing here at all, really. Shannon Man 2 says, see live chat, now says 37. The only difference is the coaches have different names, Angus's Train said. I was told that, but when I went and had a look at the pictures on the Hornby website, Actually, they're either using the same picture. There is no difference. I can't find any reference to there being different named coaches. And actually, I don't think there were that many coaches originally. It wasn't like the Liverpool and Manchester had a limitless number of coaches, because they weren't actually expecting these locos to be able to pull huge numbers of them. So I think there was Times, Dispatch, was it Endurance, something like that. Ewood Railway, Clarence and Annabelle. No, I think they come much later, it has to be said. So I'm just see if I can get an update. One of the places that I do get a lot of information, actually in this day and age, it has to be said, a lot of the manufacturers use some pretty lame websites, and it's a big criticism. The manufacturers' websites are pretty naff these days, and actually one of the best used to be, and I say this used to be, Bachmann, and then they completely and utterly made their website utter pants of late. So I now no longer use the Bachmann website. It's become clunky, it's become difficult to access information, and quite simply the new Bachmann website is a load of rubbish compared to the old version. I don't know why they did that. The Hornby website is actually a little bit more helpful, but I actually use their shop to browse their range more than anything else. Oxford Rail website, I'm really sorry Oxford Rail, but you could do with updating that. It would be nice to have that kept up to date. I know a lot of people use the Book of Face, but some people just find it's a lot easier to be able to browse stuff on a website, because the way Facebook orders posts and older posts tend to disappear. Angus's Trains asks, how many coaches do you reckon they would pull? I reckon probably a 3-coach limit normally. They wouldn't overtax. You've got to remember, the Rocket was an 022. It only weighed about 4.5 tons, so it wouldn't have had a lot of traction, and it wouldn't have been able to pull a huge... You've got to remember, these are very, very early locomotives, so I guess 3 coaches is probably about the most it would have ever pulled. But what's interesting is that actually I think there were 5 of the Rocket class locomotives, with minor detail differences, I guess, but it would be interesting to see whether Hornby produced the Rocket in different liveries. I think they all had the same livery. But, right, anyway, I'm going to have a look. And there simply is no information coming out. Like I said before, the trouble is that Oxford Rail have announced that it's just going to be the morning of today. It's the most that I've been able to glean. And quite frankly, excuse me, I'm not seeing any information. I'm going to see whether... let's see. Aha! Now, there may be some information coming through. If you know, it'd be interesting to hear what you've heard. A few people know. I will send a spreadsheet of the announcements in about 20 minutes. When would you do it? I'm away in London, then Germany. Interesting. We might be able to get Scott Rhodes from Oxford Rail on. He sent this at 9 minutes past 9. So let me just... In fact, I'm going to... We've got the old phone of ultimate doom, so we may actually have somebody for Oxford Rail on, and apparently in 20 minutes' time, well, that was 9 minutes ago, so about 11 minutes' time, I'm going to find out if there's an embargo. So let's see if I can organise this. You've had my impromptu Ken Patterson livery. You've had my impromptu Michael Day livery for the Hornby announcements. Let's see if we can get Scott from Oxford Diecast as an impromptu thing. So let's have a look. So I am the one in the know, sort of. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. So I'm not great at multitasking. I can't talk coherently and send the email as well. But So I'm just going to find out if the information is embargoed until a particular time, because I don't want to go, oh yes, there's all this announced, and then find, actually, you're supposed to wait till 11. Let's have a look. See. So I'm currently sending an email to Scott Rhodes at Oxford Diecast, who has been in touch. So hopefully we will find out for definite in a matter of minutes as to what exactly is happening. Oh, but whilst we're here, we've got, is this coffee or tea?
It's coffee.
So I have coffee flavoured tea in a Jenny Monday Club mug. So I'm just holding that up, and I'll show you the other side. We've got the JK logo. That's the logo for the channel as a whole. But
because Jenny's a rebel, she's having a Monday Club mug on a Tuesday.
yeah, we don't have Tuesday Club mugs. Although I do believe that the well, there's been a big thing about the Bachmann announcements, that apparently they're not having a big announcement now because they get pilloried over the long, i.e. like 5, 6, 7 year lead time plus the VEA van you announced in about 2001 Bachmann. So we are still waiting.
Would
So
that be the annual announcement of the Bachmann wish list?
pretty much.
We'd like to do this.
Yeah. So this year they'll be bringing out items from the 2010 range.
Why don't you move that to over there so you don't knock it?
Actually, yeah. I mean, you're plying me with drinks here. Anybody would think you're trying to make me go pee.
Hey, I haven't filled them all with rum, don't worry.
No, well, rum, it's coffee, caffeine and Coke makes you go pee. Adi Pullen says Hattons is down, I believe. Interesting. They may be updating their website. I know there'll be people at both Rails of Sheffield, Hattons, Motorways, and actually probably all the other ones like Kerno and that as well, frantically putting in these details as and when they're allowed to. So actually that is a good point. We're going to move away from the Oxford Rail homepage because quite simply I don't think it gets updated. So we're going to go over to Hattons and see if anything is appearing over there. So I'm going to put them on screen, and I'm just looking to see now. Is that I'm getting the let's have a look. British Railway, Bish Bash Bosh Boosh. I'm looking to see if there's anything mentioned. So we're on the home page. So I need to find a 00 scale. Ben Davis says, hi Jennifer, thanks for the live stream, you're absolutely welcome. Basically, you're going to find out as I find out. So, mailboxes, inbox. There are a few new items for rail. I'd be interested to see what... Basically, still waiting on an email back from Oxford Rail themselves. I was contacted by Scott Rhodes this morning. He hasn't contacted me out of the blue. Don't believe for 1 minute that people are like, interesting. Is something happening here? Let's just wait for that to update. No, nothing's happening there. I'm going to check RM Web because actually RM Web are very, very good at bringing up the information. So big plug for RM Web. If you're not a member, it's worth being a member, even if all you do is lurk, which I generally do these days. There's a lot of great information on here. Now, let's have a look. Somebody's posted 2 minutes ago. Is this people going, when's it happening? Let's have a look. I've got the inside track. I've got potentially an email from Scott Rhodes, but I don't know whether it's embargo. Oh, this is fun. You get to watch me post on RM Web. Woo! Living the dream. So there we are. Hey there everyone, you can pretend you're me on RM Web by watching me post on RM Web. There you are, see that's me, Jenny Emily on RM Web. So now you know my secret identity. I should need to get my cape on. But there's not really any new information. We're a bit starved of information. Oxford Rail basically haven't given a specific time. Now Hornby, let's just have a look. There's nothing coming up there. Hornby gave a specific time, 9 o'clock. I'm guessing that some of the others will as well, but in all honesty, there's no time given. All I've been told is morning of the 21st. So I'm just, let's see, have we had a new email? No, nothing as yet. So let's have a look. No new emails come through yet. So I'm just keeping an eye on that. We're going to go and check out the, you're right, actually. Hatton's, it's a bit slow, but let's have a look. Let's go to, this isn't going to give us like the full range or anything, so let's pick something steam locomotives. I'm going to go out on a limb and say there may be something steam loco related, be it liveries. Great Eastern Railway Blue N7. I'm going to take a, let's have a look, steam locos. Where's Oxford Rail? There they are. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that there may be an N7 announced in Great Eastern Railway Prussian Blue. Now, only 3 of these locomotives, as far as I'm aware, were painted in Great Eastern Railway livery, and it was the grey livery. And as far as I'm aware, none ever got the Prussian Blue. Indeed, even Oxford Rail have stated that they've got evidence to show that none had. They've confirmed none had the Prussian Blue, but people keep asking for it, so it may be a bit like the Bachmann E1 in North Eastern Railway Green, aka the J72. It may well be that they produce one by public demand, even though it's not an actual accurate livery, and I think it would still sell. I think it would be a pretty enough livery that it would just sell. So that's going to be my prediction. Great Eastern Railway N7. I've heard the S160 banded around. This is the USA Army Transport Corps big locomotive. There's a number of these around the UK, I believe, and certainly going back, the Longmoor Military Railway had one. And they also appear in a few other liveries. They were good for all over the world, really. A bit like the Robinson 8K or the Stanier 8F. They were much travelled. I think that you're right. The Hatton's website is having some kind of a glitch. So I'm going to go over to Rails of Sheffield, who should also hopefully be having a completely updated list come up at some point. So I'm just having a look there. Actually, one thing I will say is that deal of the day on the Aspinall Radial, somebody asked last night about a good value small locomotive, and that is actually quite a good price. Oh, there's the E1 just disappearing off to the left in the North Eastern Railway Green. Never actually appeared in that livery in real life. So let's just have a look down. Oh, the Class 29s haven't appeared. Sorry, I'm just window shopping here. I'm just looking down, and I don't see any even reference on Oxford Rail. So let's just go and have a look. Let's have an AD Pullen only went on to see what names was the Rockets coach. He says Hatton says the names. I think Hatton's, for whatever reason, is a bit chugging a bit. So I've moved over to Rails of Sheffield. Let's have a look. Forthcoming releases. That's probably our best bet. So we've got the Virgin Mark 3s there. These have already been announced. Just looking down there to see if there's anything new. J27s, they've already been announced. Is there any new liveries on them? Like the North Eastern Railway liveries? No. I'm not even sure whether they're actually suitable for a North Eastern Railway original livery. I'm not seeing anything new there. No, there's nothing new turned up there. AD Pullen Hatton's is down. So, at a loss there. Right. Let's have a look. Posts. Let's just refresh. Still no information there. And let's just have a look. Let's just refresh somehow. Let's go back. You can say it. Tell I'm not used to this computer. So let's have a look. Oxford Rail. This is on RM Web. Really great source for information. Let's have a look. Chug. No, there's nothing new appearing. So I'm going to go back and check emails. No new emails at the moment. So just waiting for Scott Rhodes to get back to me. So yeah, let's have a think then. A jolly good think. Let's have a look. So until there's actually something to see, let's put me back on the screen. What do you think there's going to be in the Oxford Rail range? Like I said before, N7 in Great Eastern Railway Prussian Blue, I think is a pretty good guess, even though one didn't exist in that livery in real life. I think that Oxford Rail may gather that there's enough demand for these pretty liveries that will outweigh the prototypical crowd. And probably put something on the box just to say, you know, fictitious livery, but you wanted it, here it is, buy it. The S-160 I see banded around a lot. The United States Army Transport Corps, the big freight locomotive, which was built to a UK loading gauge, so it could be brought over in the war and used around Britain and Europe. Longmoor Military Railway livery one is an option. So let's have a look. Also, Keighley and Worth Valley Railway Red, there's one that runs there. There's a few other. The US Army Transport Corps livery as well would be one. Good morning to you, Valleybrook 2 Model Railway. Angus's trains. New South Wales returned to steam yesterday. Its most famous steam train, 3801. Oh, grand. I've seen some great videos, actually, some of those steam trains out in Oz. New Mills Model Railway, more industrial or NCB, perhaps. That's an interesting thought. Thomas Hill Vanguard might be an interesting industrial. They did the Janus Shunter. So they do have a track record on diesels. That Janus Shunter that they produced for Golden Valley Hobbies, I think it was, but it is actually an Oxford die-cast model. So Thomas Hill Vanguard is probably up there, possibly, if they're going to go the industrial diesel route. Graham MCK says, do we think they will do a diesel? I'm not a kettle modeler. I don't know. Like I said, they have done the Janus like double bonneted diesel. Valleybrook 2 Model Railway says, hearing of announcements, I believe Bachmann are not releasing anything. Is this true? They're not announcing things that they've got in the planning. Basically, they've realised that people are getting really hacked off with these sort of like 8, 9, 10 year lead times. So rather than produce what is actually a vaporware list of things they might get round to doing, they're trying to concentrate on things that will be delivered within the year. So what we may actually see is no new announcement, but a confirmation of what's actually coming this year. And it's interesting, actually, they've been pilloried for their vaporware release schedule, and now they're pilloried when they're trying to address that. So I think it's a case of damned if you do, damned if you don't. And there is an event for retailers on the 4th of February, but the 5th of February announcement, the general announcement, has effectively been cancelled because there is no grand new range to announce. It doesn't mean that they've stopped developing new things, it's just that they're taking a leaf out of Hornby's book and not announcing them until they're actually within, might actually appear the same year. Mike J. Potts, good morning all, hope you all well. Yeah, pretty well, thank you very much. We're just waiting on this Oxford Rail announcement. As I said to the people who are in the room earlier on, I did have an email from Scott Rhodes at Oxford Diecast. I'm trying to set up an impromptu interview, just as we did with Michael Day from Hornby. May or may not happen. Apparently Scott's down in London, so it'll be the London Toy Fair. And then he's got to jet off to Germany to presumably the Munich Toy Fair. So a bit rushed around, so I'm not expecting to be able to get Scott on the phone. We might be able to do an interview at a later date as a pre-record video, something like that, which might be quite good. But at the moment, he's promised me the full list as a spreadsheet. He said by about 9:30, so it's now becoming a little bit overdue. But I don't know whether that's embargoed for a later time. So I'm hopefully going to find that out in a moment. But in the meantime, I'm just wondering what other people are guessing what might be in the Oxford Diecast announcements. Now, they've had the J27. I've heard some people suggest a J21, making use of a similar chassis. However, I don't think that Oxford Rail would do a J21 so close on the heels of the J27, which hasn't yet reached the shops. I think they'd like to see how well that does. Let that consolidate its orders before they think of a new but similar class of loco. There are other things as well. The LNER A5, the former Great Central Railway tanks, they have been mentioned, but I think a lot of this is pure speculation. The closest I've got to inside information is, I guess, basically the N7 in Great Eastern Railway Prussian Blue, Oxford Diecast or Oxford Rail have commented on people's requests for that, and said about the issues with it not being a real livery that the locomotive actually carried in real life, but if people wanted it, they would consider it. So that's as close as I've found to kind of an inside information, as it were. So basically, it's just a waiting game now a little bit. Graham MCK just gave All Mouse a cheeky follow on Twitter. The Cupboard Monkey will be happy at that. Thank you very much. I've just heard, hark, the ghostly comment from the other room. She says, I am. New Mills Model Railway. A saddle tank would be nice. A Robert Stevenson and Hawthorne 040 perhaps. I'd snap one of them up. Yeah, actually, what Hornby have proven is that the market for small industrials is mega. It is immense. With their W4 Packet, followed by the B2 Packet, and also that Ruston 48DS is actually an inspired model. I think those three have really proven the market for small industrials. So also we've got the Andrew Barclay from Hattons has done very, very well. So there's a lot of information. A lot of models coming out there. They're doing really well. So maybe Oxford Rail might get in on that. And actually, I'd love to see, I've said this again and again, the four-wheel diesel shunters from the BR, the Class 1, the Class 2 and the Class 6. Would love to see any of those. My personal favourite would actually be a Class 2, but I could see why they might do a Class 6. Valleybrook 2 Model Railway says, hearing of... Oh, sorry, we've already read that one out. Angus's Trains. Back one will be announced 4th of February at 10 a.m. Right, no worries. I think that'll be a much curtailed announcement, and it'll be simply stuff that is going to be delivered this year. So it may be an announcement of things that have already been announced, but confirming that they're coming out at the moment. Valleybrook 2 Model Railway. I'm hoping Dapol do re-release the Class 68 again. I've pre-ordered the Destroyer. I think they will. If there's the sales potential there, definitely they will re-release that. If it's proven popular, it's gonna come back out. I can smell burning. Zoe, did you light some incense? Ah, that would be the incensey smell that I can smell. Right, I'm just going to try and refresh some of these pages. So let's just see what is coming up. Is there anything new? No, the Book of Face has not announced anything. So let's just go down to... let's have a look. There is no information. We are very starved of information on this. It's not like the Hornby release schedule, it has to be said, where we knew a time and it just like, boom, there they were. And it was just amazing. We can't even play Hunt the URL on the Oxford Rail website like some people did on the Hornby one, which kind of got us in a few minutes early and ahead of the rush, and we're able to actually then start navigating around. Valleybrook 2 Model Railway is Dragon's Blood. I love the smell of incense. Yeah, some of the incense smells are quite nice. Some of them aren't, but some of them are. Let's have a look. Nothing new coming out. I'm going to double check the Rails of Sheffield site. So let's have a look. They will probably have a link going up at some point, but I'm not seeing. Let's have a look. Oxford Rail 2020 range. It just says coming soon, 2020 range announcement Tuesday 21st of January. No times currently quoted for that. So I'm just checking to see. No, still not got an email back from Scott Rhodes at Oxford Diecast. So it's probably very busy. Obviously they're doing the product launch. It's going to be all go. I think they're at the London Toy Fair. Excuse me. Mr. Davil 43, I'd like all manufacturers to announce that henceforth all cab roofs removable on steam outline models. I hear where you're coming from, actually. It'd be a lot easier to put crews in and also just to admire some of the detail work in there. Excuse me. I do understand, though, why they might not. There have been issues in the past. I know the Bachmann 56XX has a removable cab roof, which is great, but it has a habit of falling off. One of the good ways of doing that is Dapol in their O-gauge on their panniers have a removable cab roof that's held in place by magnets, and actually that works incredibly well. So kudos to Dapol for implementing that feature. Valleybrook 2 Model Railway. What's your opinion on Cavalex stopping their 91 after Hornby's announcement? I touched on this on last night's live stream. I do completely understand why they've done it. You know, going up competing against Hornby is going to be a very difficult thing. Now, Hornby will have also had that in the works for a number of years. I believe they started work on that in 2016. So it's not like Hornby have just jumped in at the last minute. Hornby are well advanced with their own model and indeed showed a 3D printed prototype version at their open day back before Christmas. So it was actually known amongst the press that they were doing the 91 from probably about the time that Cavalex first showed their 3D printed sample. So I think I can understand why they've made the announcement. I don't think they could compete with Hornby, and they've looked at it and thought we would take a loss on that potentially. Angus's train says, I don't think they'll be out for a while. No, I believe that they're supposed to be out during this year, so we will see them before Christmas 2020. So I'm just checking. Still nothing. Still no email back from Oxford. So we're still in the dark here. AD Pullen, have you heard any more? Dapol SCR D-Class and the Caledonian Railway 812. I'll be honest with you, I haven't seen a delivery date for either of those. Actually, no, I tell a lie. The 812, I'm not sure on a delivery date. But the D-Class, is it autumn this year? I know that the D-Class isn't going to be that long in gestation. We are actually going to see it within a reasonable time frame. Angus's train says, I don't think Oxford Rail announcements will be out for a while. I've been promised the list in the next 10 minutes or so, but I haven't had them. I was told I'd be getting them in 20 minutes, and this was basically at 9 minutes past 9. It's now 9:45, and I haven't received that email. So, excuse me. Valleybrook 2 Model Railway says, right, I best get to work. The Quick Fit branch won't run itself, sadly. See you later, guys and girls. Well, see you later. You take care. In fact, I need to go out later on as well. I need to put a new tyre on my Volvo. So I will be in a similar tyre emporium. Robot Monkey has joined us. Hello, Jenny and all. Hello to you. It's a very peculiar live announcement for the 2020 range for Oxford Rail. I think everybody else has set a time. Hornby set a time, 9 o'clock. Bachmann apparently have set a time of 10 o'clock on the 4th of February. So everybody else has set a time. Now, Oxford Rail have just sort of this nebulous, 21st of January, we'll do it. And I'm currently completely starved of any information. Like I said, Oxford Rail, Scott Rhodes has promised me an email of the list, but as of yet, nothing come through. I'm just looking here on RM Web, still no information, which basically means that if If there is information, it's embargoed. Nathan Chew, Oxford Rail, like being fashionably late. Too right. So it does make doing a live stream event like this very, very difficult. So I'm going to have to do what I used to do when I did commercial radio. And you'd be covering an event that didn't necessarily run to time. And I can remember covering a sporting event for a radio station in the northeast. And we had immense trouble with getting information down the line with ADSL links ASDL links that wouldn't work, and I had to sit in the studio and kind of wing it for an hour. A live sporting event with no coverage of the sporting event, and eventually we got the actual techie crew to phone us on a payphone. And we put them on air to tell us what was going on. So I have had experience of things like this. Yeah, back in the days before mobile phone mass usage, it was a nightmare. And no internet to speak of to get the information either. So here we are. We've got the internet and everything else, and still got no information. But we're just going to keep hanging on here. I have been promised that information pretty much 10 minutes ago, but it hasn't yet come through. I'm really excited. So, Robot Monkey says maybe they're just checking their web servers can cope with more traffic like Hornby didn't. They don't seem to update their website anymore. I'll be honest with you, the Oxford Rail website just isn't updated these days, and it does say on it that they now use Facebook. So I wouldn't have thought Facebook will fall over, but I do keep just checking on the Book of Face just to make sure that anything has come up. Rather, Ewood Railway, maybe they're waiting for VAR. VAR? What's VAR? I'm not familiar with that acronym. Warwick Road, good old CFAX days. Yes, I can remember winging the news off CFAX for a Saturday morning programme. Because essentially the news feed went down, so I had to read out the news live at the top of the hour, and I did it by they had a TV set in the actual studio that you could check up on news events as they happen type thing. So I put CFAX on it, and I was reading the news off it. Yeah, I have form on this. I've done all this sort of stuff before. He would. Oh no, you read that. It's a footy joke. VAR. Oh, is that the video referee, video automated referee? The thing that keeps saying that everybody's offside and nobody likes it because it's apparently ruining the spontaneity of the game. I'm not a football enthusiast. I hear kicking the inflated pig's bladder around is very popular these days, but I've never seen the interest myself. Alan Watt says, come Jenny, sort it out. You're the person to sort it. Yes, we need to just wade in there and go, come on now, stop being silly. Tell everybody what you're doing. Still nothing coming through. So let's just... Yeah, Ewood Railway says, yes, it is. So I don't do football. That's why it's like... right, any other guesses? Think outside the box. Also, what else other than locomotives? What about coaching stock? Now, they've done the Mark III loco hauled stock. What about a loco to pull them? Now, what could that be? I have also seen mentioned, somebody suggested a Class 81. Yeah, James Hardy says, goal disallowed. I can imagine the fans wouldn't be best pleased about that. It must really, sometimes too much technology can ruin things. It certainly ruined radio for me when everything went digital. I used to like putting records on the platter and queuing up the needle. We used to have a thing on the desk, auto start. So you'd queue everything up. You'd have the needle on the record in your headphones on the pre-listen. You'd wind it back with your finger, find the beginning of the track, and give it half a turn so that it wouldn't sound like it was speeding up when you hit play. And then on your desk, you used to have the big Neve desk. You used to have auto start, so when you lifted the fader, the turntable at the back of the room would automatically start playing, and again when you dropped the fader it would stop as well. So that's how it all used to work, and I used to love stuff like that, and they had it on CD players as well, the auto start feature. But when it all went digital and computerized, that's really when my interest in radio broadcasting petered out. Shannon Mann 2, a support coach. There are several to choose from. Would they be Mark III support coaches? Yeah, things like the yellow banana, things like that, I guess. The Mark III's really only passed into that kind of role much later in life, so I'm guessing that that's kind of outside where my interest kind of ends. I make no pretense about it. Privatisation came in, and I kind of just lost interest in the railways. In fact, I'd started to lose interest a little bit before that. The rationalisation period in about 92, 93 is about where I started to lose a little bit of interest in the railways. So I'm just double checking. Aha! Do we have embargoed until 10 a.m? Right. So 10 a.m. We've got 10 minutes. So this is interesting. I'm going to find out. This is actually really naughty of me, because then this is embargoed till 10 o'clock. So you're not just like don't even bother asking me. But I am now getting a quick pre-look at what is being announced. Right, so keep your guesses coming in. I am not going to tell you, but 10 o'clock. So everybody, big announcement. Do share this out. 10 o'clock is when the information ceases being embargoed. So the information is petering out. We're looking at 10 o'clock. I've got to... somebody was asking on RM Web what time it came out. So, let's just see. Announced at 10 a.m. would be going over the range live on my YouTube stream. Right, Bob Patterson said, okay, so what's the haps, Jennifer and Zoe? Robot Monkey, yes please, pre-grouping stuff here. AD Pullen says pre-grouping stuff would be great. Game Hammer Classic Gaming, 200 Gronks and a rail-ready DeLorean from Back to the Future 3. Actually, there's an interesting idea. Oxford Rail do the Land Rover Defender rail thing. Maybe, I don't know whether there'd probably be movie tie-in rights. They'd have to get a license. But you could do that. Actually, a rail-mounted DeLorean would sell anywhere in the world. If you did it as sort of like a cross between HO and 00, it's like a bit of a fudge. Yeah, actually, that's really great. Ewood Rose says, glad I don't wait for new releases. Right, the new releases are in. I do know what is being announced. It's embargoed until 10 o'clock. So I'm not going to tell you. Don't ask me, because even though I now know what is being announced, I'm not going to tell you, and I'm not going to drop any hints. But I'm interested to see what people are guessing. James Hardy says, Oxford, can we have an LBSC E2? Robot Monkey, yes please, pre-grouping stuff here too. Yeah, pre-grouping does seem to be a big thing these days. You know, we're starting to see stuff come through. And actually, I've just filmed a review on the Southeastern Chatham Railway 3D printed van from Rails of Sheffield. Really glad to be able to get two of those from them to do a review. They don't yet do them in the SECR livery because they need to do a slight mod to the brake gear to make them suitable for the SECR period and the early southern period. So just keeping a check on the time, 6 more minutes, and then I will be able to announce to you the list that I have been sent from Oxford Rail. So I'm going to go to the Oxford Rail. Let's just see, is anything coming through? It shouldn't be. It's embargoed. Oh, interesting. Ewood Railway. The rocket should be in Stockton to Darlington Blue. Interesting. As far as I'm aware, it did the Rainhill trials in the yellow, black and white livery that it's being modelled in. Robot Monkey. Anyone else waiting on batch 3 of Project Genesis? Yeah, I think a lot is. A lot of people are. James Hardy. The suspense is killing me. Mr. Daville 43 LBSCR K-Class Mogul, please. Interesting. I've not seen anybody suggest that before. Dogger Bend Railway, Angus, as soon as I had time, I'm working 50 hours a week. I don't know what that's in reference to. Ben Davis, can't wait for 6 minutes. So yes, I do have the information. I do know what is in the list. I will be telling you because it's embargoed until 10, so you won't find out till 10. So Lynchwood Sidings, you can ask all you like. I will not even drop hints because I respect the fact that this is embargoed till 10. So I'm not going to do the, oh, I've got a scoop nonsense that some one of the YouTubers did with the APT. And I thought that was pretty poor form. So yes, I do know what is in the Oxford Rail announcements. Embargoed until 10. So we've got 5 more minutes, everyone. Brian Mozzer, hope for more small GWR tanks. Interesting. Ben Davis, how can we see the Oxford Rail 2021 website? Well, what would be the best to pick? They generally make their announcements on Facebook these days. Their website doesn't generally get updated that much. But RM Web will probably get all the pictures. Robot Monkey, Jenny, that's a lot of PS2 games. Do you have GT Racers? Awful game. Actually, yes, I believe it is in here. We've got about nearly 2,000 PS2 titles in this room. This room is actually where Game Hammer is made. This is the Game Hammer room. So I'm using this because it does allow me to put websites up on screen. So we're just waiting on this. But as I said before, RM Web is really, really great at getting the information out there, I have to say. I tend to lurk an awful lot, but essentially, yeah, nothing as yet come up. So, also, Rails of Sheffield are looking to put up the Oxford Rail announcements to pre-order, so you'll be able to get an idea, hopefully, on price and when they're due from there if we don't get it from anywhere else. 3 minutes to go. Brian Mozzer, that pre-GWR, like the Neath and Brecon and Taff Vale Railway. Yeah, Electrotren in association with Golden Valley Models did the Taff Vale Railway 060, which was actually just a warm over of the model that they made for the Spanish market, I believe. So I'm not sure it did all that well, but it was an interesting attempt. See, I like things like the Cambrian Railways have some very interesting stuff. And actually, we reviewed some of the NWINS 3D models that you can get for covering the Cambrian Railway period. Bluegrass Rail fan, am I late or early? No, you are ever so slightly early. We've actually been on since 9. We didn't know the exact time, but we've now had it confirmed. It's embargoed until 10. And I do have the new range in front of me. It's been sent through by Oxford Rail, but embargoed till 10, so I'm not going to tell you till then. 2 minutes, James Hardy says. Yes, your 2 minute warning, If you need a cup of tea, rush, 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 rush like you've never rushed before. Let's just have a look. Let us update that. That was just my headphones. 5 a.m. here, says Bluegrass Rail fan. I think actually people are going to be very, very pleasantly pleased with the range. I've had a glance through. I'm not going to tell you anything. I'm not going to drop any hints. But I do think that a lot of people are going to be impressed. Dogger Bend Railway, G2G, Jen got to get back to work. Okay, but 2 more minutes and the full announcement is, oh, Robot Monkey, countdown music. Dun, 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 boo. Vobert Becking says, would like a ready-to-run Highland Railway Jones Goods loco. That does actually poll very, very highly. So I think it's only a matter of time before we see that at some point. Whether we see it in 1 minute's time, I really don't know. But Frank Feely says, got my tea ready to go. Ben Davis, because I'm looking at the BCB Red. Let's have a look. The Gauge Master tank locomotive won't come from Electron are good. I don't know. I haven't actually reviewed them, I must admit. The Electrotren models do seem pretty well made. It's a division of Hornby. But let's just see if we're going to try and get the Acura scale. Not Acura scale. The Oxford Rail lists up. So Bish Bash Bosh. Not up yet. Oxford Rail homepage. somebody somewhere is hanging. Right, 10 o'clock. I can announce, it's now just turned at 10 o'clock, that Oxford Rail will be doing a all new J26. So not sure if that's turned up. The locomotive from Oxford Rail will be a J26. Not now, Siri. LNER 060 class J26 number 5738. Also the same, sound fitted. BR early J26 number 65767. And also the same, sound fitted. BR late J26 number 65736. Also sound fitted option. Private owner tank wagon BP number 1061, and this one is amazing. Great Eastern Railway 10-ton covered van number 23109. Also available in LNER livery and also BR livery. So we are getting some pre-grouping vans. A Great Eastern Railway pre-grouping van. For me, that is the standout announcement. Also, we're getting the standard Cowan Sheldon 15-ton crane. BR Stoke MPD, LMS Wellingborough number 243, BR Stewart's Lane and LNER Sunderland. So yes, Oxford Rail are doing a crane. So there you have it. Let's just see. There we are. Right, we've got some new pictures coming through. So there's the J26. For some reason, there is the Great Eastern Railway box van. Yes, I know. And in Great Eastern Railway livery, this is a first, a ready-to-run pre-grouping era van in pre-grouping era livery. I'm so excited for this. I'm going to see, do we have projected prices yet? No projected prices, but certainly the J26 is a great surprise to me, I have to say. I was not expecting a J26. And interesting, what is this wagon? It's a Pilchard wagon, BR Black. So this is an engineer's wagon, a Pilchard. It looks to have been converted from a bogie bolster, I believe. But that is interesting. So there is a very interesting range here. There is the crane. So if you thought that the Bachmann crane was way too expensive at £212, well, Oxford Rail have just blown them out of the water. It's a different type of crane, so it's not directly competing, but you're seeing a period picture there. This is an interesting announcement. I'm going to have to use a match wagon with that, I guess. I'm guessing that these actually lived at depots, but let's just see if we're getting any further information from elsewhere. So I'm just going over to RM Web, just seeing what pictures that they have got. Oxford Rail 2020. Let's have a look. Yep, people are enjoying the stream very much. Thank you to Ian of SKLR there. It's pretty great there. I know that the pictures are actually, they're not too bad. These are period pictures, so we don't actually have any pictures of pre-production models, anything like that, apart from the tanker. So I'm guessing the tanker is going to be... we've waited all this time for a crane. Hey, when Bachmann announced their crane, everybody was over the moon until they saw the price. This, right, remember, the Bosch Buster was under £50. So you're going to get a crane, effectively a crane that you can use possibly as a kind of breakdown crane, certainly a works crane for... I'm going to guess that this is going to be sub £100. We're talking about less than half the price, is my prediction, than the Bachmann one. This is going to sell well. This is potentially the winner of the announcement. Although actually, it has to be said, if I go back, the Great Eastern Railway van, this too, it's a bit of a curveball. I would not have predicted that in a million years. But we're getting it in Great Eastern Railway livery. I'm so happy to see that. But also coming out in later LNER and BR liveries too. So quite a long-lasting van. We've got a picture of that on the screen. Let's just see. The J26, and that is a very abysmal picture. It looks like it's been lifted off Wikipedia, perhaps. Oh, Mr. Davil 43. But hey, Ewood Rail, don't jib at this. It could give your railway quite a lift. Medway Peninsula Model Railway. Hi Jenny, listening in whilst putting some Metcalfe kits together. How do you think the Crane will compete with the Hattons one? I think the Hattons one is a much modern thing. It's like a 1980s onwards crane. So these are very different models. You're looking at the Oxford Rail crane is very much fair and square in a steam era market. I think this is more likely to compete directly with the Bachmann breakdown crane, and this is an inspired move by Oxford Rail, showing that they're prepared to go head to head with the big boys and compete with them. I think if this is anything like the Bosch Buster, that this is going to be the model that sweeps them an award at the end of the year, just as the Bosch Buster did. And I think that it's going to actually lead to my prediction. We're going to see discounting of the Bachmann breakdown crane prices, because they're going to start to struggle at the £212 price mark to sell huge numbers of them. And I think a lot of people are going to go for this as an alternative. So if it's as good as the Bosch Buster, then I think we're onto something special. Anything else? Well, we're going to go back to the list. That's a very fuzzy picture. Oh my word! The list that they've put up on you can't even read that. It has to be said. So what we've got are J26, Great Eastern 10-ton covered van, Pilchard wagon, Cowan Sheldon 15-ton crane, Mark 1 and Mark 2 jibs. There's two variants of that. New livery on the BP tanker, and also Virgin Mark 3 coaches will be released during the year. So I'm just going to look further on. There's the crane as well. So they did venture out and about. No sign of a jib runner wagon on that. So I am curious what they would have used. But certainly, yeah, I think this is going to compete quite... there's a better picture of the J26. I'm not seeing a picture of the tanker there, although the pictures that were sent over to me... I don't know whether you're going to see that. That's a picture of the tanker that... somebody said, refresh the screen. It's been redone. So, let me just... Let's see if it comes back up. There we go. Ranged a little bit, hopefully a bit clearer. Yes, certainly. Thank you for that. Let's like that. Apparently I'm liking it as the Cupboard Monkey, but never mind. So if you see the Cupboard Monkey liking that, that's why. Definitely, yeah. Some really interesting items there. It's not a huge list like we saw with Hornby, but certainly it is very much... I think that it's a very deliverable list. Hopefully we're going to see these. I would suspect the J26 will be probably around Christmas or early next year. We're going to see the J27 first, but I would not have predicted a J26. Medway Peninsula Model Railway says, yeah, you could get an Oxford Rail crane and a Hattons crane for the price of a Bachmann and cover 2 eras. Definitely. Or you could get just 2 of the Oxford Rail cranes. I'm not seeing any prices as of yet. So I'm just going to refresh. Actually, I don't need to. That will show me the reply. So let's see. Still nothing LMS and then big swing and a miss. No, the crane is in. Oh, look at the list, my friend. The crane is available in LMS Wellingborough number 243 livery. So there is an LMS item. The crane is available in that livery. So, oh, my friend, you didn't read closely. So let's just see if there's a full rundown, and maybe we can get some more information. So certainly, I'm going to see whether there's anything new on this. No, people trying to get a scoop are just reposting something that people already knew. So, I don't think there's anything new going up on here. I'm going to check the Rails website in a moment. Now, there's nothing new on there. The official posts have not yet turned up, which is most unusual. Normally, Andy York and the team are very, very quick. But I'm going to go over to the Rails of Sheffield. I'm going to see whether Rails of Sheffield have got any more information in terms of prices. So let's have a look. Oxford Rail, bish bash bosh, boosh. No, that's. I'm desperately trying to find prices for you, and let's. Yeah, nothing on Rails of Sheffield incoming. Let's have a look. Nothing gone up as yet. So I am going to go over to. No, get out of my way. I'm going to see if Hattons has come back up. It may well be that Hattons' site was a bit slow because they were updating the Oxford Rail stoofs. So let's take a look. Is there any information here? Let's go to Oxford Rail. I'm not seeing anything as yet. Let's go down to... I'm not seeing any information. That's the wrong one. So it's becoming really difficult to actually find any information on. There we go. Right, coming soon. Let's just see. I'll be honest with you. We're struggling to get information. AD Pullen, I think that you're absolutely right there. That I would suggest the J27 around the same price as the J26 around the same price as the J27. It may go up by a few pounds because it's going to be maybe a year further ahead. What's going to be the delivery for the Great Eastern Railway 10-ton cover van? Ben Davis asks. They're going to bring it out in Great Eastern Railway livery, London and North Eastern Railway livery, and BR livery. Piccadilly Model Railway by John Warner. Hi to you. Welcome along. Great to have you join us here as we're going over the Oxford Rail announcements. It looks like we were first to the party actually, because I got pre-warned by about 10 minutes, so I did know what the range was, but obviously kept that stum, and you can attest to that. But yeah, it's a fairly chastened list, but it's perfectly deliverable. So I think Oxford Rail have to be applauded for this. I'm guessing that they do have stuff in development for next year's announcements, but obviously you're not going to know about those. So yeah, I'm pleasantly pleased. I think for me, yeah, Ben Davis says, still wish we got an 8-class GER 77-inch Great Eastern Railway Blue. Although what's interesting is the fact that they've put a Great Eastern Railway van. That suggests that there's more Great Eastern Railway stuff in the pipeline. I do wonder, do they announce extra re-liveries as the year progresses? I've got a feeling that new liveries may come out during the year, and what we're actually seeing here in the main is all new models rather than re-liveries. So there may still be re-liveries, but Angus's trains have stayed up this late for not much. Well, I think it's quite exciting. I think the standouts for me are the Great Eastern Railway covered van and the standard Cowan Sheldon 15-ton crane. I think those two things, I would never have guessed either of those. I have to say, my guesses were an N7, in albeit unprototypical Great Eastern Railway blue, but that was not to be. But that may still come as a re-livery. Yeah, AD Pullen, you're absolutely right. You have to remember they're a small company compared to Bachmann and Hornby, very much so. But certainly they're showing themselves as a very capable player in the market. So, yeah, I'm really impressed with what they've announced. So I'm just going to send a thank you email. So many thanks. The crane and GER. I'm going to ask if they got projected prices yet. Do you have projected? Yeah, I hate phones. I'm going to see. I'm going to see if I can get Scott Rhodes on for an interview. If you are... I'm just going to, just trying to see if I can get an interview with Energy Live. Just going to give him my telephone number. I'm not going to read this out on air, so don't worry. I nearly did after all that. It's just... Sorry, I'm guessing it's probably not the greatest live stream watching somebody type out an email, pecking it out on the screen. So, I'm just... right, let's see whether we get a call on the hotline. But, yeah, Breakdown Workshop Crane looks nice, Bob Patterson. Very much. I think that... I think that it's an inspired choice. It doesn't directly compete with anybody else's crane. So I think it's a really, really good move by Oxford Rail. They proved with their Bosch Buster that they can produce a really good one-off type wagon, a large-scale wagon. They can do it to a really good standard and deliver it at a very keen price. And I think by not going head-to-head with the likes of Bachmann, then they're very much, they're covering a different market, but I think there's a lot of people who will buy that because they see the Bachmann one as being unaffordable. There's a lot of people on a very strict budget, and for a breakdown crane, which it's not a locomotive, it's not doesn't have any functionality other than I think you can pose it, but that's about it. I think it's very expensive. It's about the same price as a Helgen Bayer Garrett. So just to put it into context, you can buy a Helgen Bayer Garrett for the same price as the Bachmann crane, and that makes it very expensive. I like transport. What did you miss? You missed an LNER J26, which is a very, very interesting announcement. But for me, and for a lot of people, highlights Great Eastern Railway 10-ton covered van in Great Eastern Railway, North Eastern Railway, LNER and BR livery, and also the standard Cowan Sheldon 15-ton crane. So, boom, those of you who were complaining that the Bachmann crane was too expensive, there is an alternative. So, really, really looking forward to that. Bob Patterson, I hope for more pre-grouping Southern Rail equipment. Well, look out for Rails of Sheffield. They may be releasing their Southeastern and Chatham Railway covered van in appropriate Southeastern and Chatham Railway and early Southern Railway guys at some point, if the demand is there. And certainly they've sold out the first two runs, literally like that. So there is a lot of hope. I like transport. No diesels then. Hopefully there's some to come. I suspect there might be re-liveries. I don't think re-liveries are on this list. So we may yet get some of the things that I was guessing, like the N7 in Great Eastern Railway Prussian Blue. Not a prototypical livery for that locomotive, but nonetheless people have been asking for it, so it may yet come. So I'm going to just have a look now and see whether there's any update. Let's just see, is there an update on here? I know Andy York is normally pretty good with the team on RM Web, so big up to those guys. And there's nothing official come through. That surprises me a little bit, but let's just see what other people are saying. So I'm just very curious whether anybody's got an inside track or something. It's always going to be some people moan. So the J26 surprises me, and actually the Northeastern Railway Hopper is another one that people were hoping for, but let's have a look. We're going to check out the Hatton site and see if we're getting any prices. At the moment, I Like Transport. YouTube is streaming very quick today. Yeah, I think because we're early, there's a lot less people on the internet. It is a Tuesday, so I guess a lot of people in where I am are out at work. So let's have a look. Is there any more information? I'm not seeing any information on the Oxford, sorry, not the Oxford Rail, on the Hatton's website. So let's go over and let's check out. Where's the refresh button on this browser? Can't find it. So let's just check if Rails of Sheffield have got any further information. It's actually really difficult. No, there doesn't seem to be any further information. This is it's quite peculiar. I've not done a launch being like this. Yeah, Brian Moser says Scott actually is at the toy show. He's down in London, so doesn't have time. So and then he's jetting off to, I think it's the Munich Toy Fair as well in Germany. So I'm guessing I might get. Let's just have a look. Final confirmation. So I don't. Well, I don't know. We'll send this later. Currently, don't have it to hand. Congrats on the live feed. Sorry, some of the pictures are not, but I'll try to know that it's during the day. Right, I don't think we're going to get Scott on. He's incredibly busy. It does sound like he's very, very rushed off his feet. So, big up to Scott Rhodes and a big, big thank you for Command R. Right, worth knowing. So, Command. Let's just make sure I'm refreshing the right thing. Command R. Oh yes, it is. It does work. Thank you, Neil Mills Model Railway. So yeah, so a big thank you to Scott Rhodes who sent me through the list. So I was well prepared for this. I Like Transport says I was at Machynlleth Station the other day, and the duty manager had nothing to do at the time. He was watching YouTube on his phone. Well, why not? Hello everyone to Tim Davis. But yeah, Piccadilly Model Railway by John Warner just got new Bachmann catalogue. Looks like new Class 85 in about 10 years. Actually, we've already had the Class 85. It'll just be a relivery. I don't think they sold as well as Bachmann were hoping. They tested the water with the earlier AC electrics. And I think that essentially the Class 85 from Bachmann didn't sell well enough to justify huge amounts of extra production runs. We did see a special edition for the Collectors Club has now sold out, but it did take some time. And I believe that there is another BR Blue Identity one, and possibly even an electric blue version on the way. But it's just one of those things. Slow seller, I guess. Bob Patterson, my favourite long closed branch line is the Havant to Hayling Island line. Yeah, very much. Puffing Billy. Apparently closed, not because it was unprofitable, but because BR didn't want to spend the money to repair the bridge, which is a great tragedy, actually. I think if that line had still survived to this day, then it would very much be a great tourist line. And it's in many ways, it's a shame that it couldn't have become a preserved line. You could imagine that with terriers and P-Class chugging up and down. That would actually be a really great tourist line, so such a shame. So maybe somebody with very deep pockets would buy up the route and rebuild it, although that bridge would cost a pretty penny or two. Melchester Model Railway, hi Jenny, just tuned in. What's the big news? Well, we've got an LNER J26 coming out in LNER livery, BR early and BR late livery. So we've got 3 different identities available, sound and non-sound. Great Eastern Railway 10-ton covered van is an amazing one. That for me, along with the 15-ton Cowans Sheldon crane, are the 2 biggies from this. I am very impressed with those. I think they're the highlight of the announcement. Shah 106631, good morning to you. First timer, so be gentle with me. Just getting back into 00 gauge. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you very much. It's always great to have new people to the channel. I'm glad you found us. Everybody is welcome. Don't forget to tell all of your friends, anybody you know, to tune in to the regular Jenny Monday Club is 7 p.m. GMT on a Monday. But we've got this special live stream today to cover the Oxford Rail announcements as they happen. Came out at 10 o'clock. It's a shame, actually, they didn't trail ahead. I think it's caught a few people on the hop because information has been a little bit tricky to get hold of. But certainly, Let's just double check on the. Let's go back to Oxford Rail. Command R. Right, finally we've got an official post from RM Web. So we've got the J26, a Great Eastern Railway van, Pilchard ballast and sleeper wagon, and the 15-ton crane. I have to. We've finally there got a picture of the BP tanker. I got a small one on my phone, but it's nice to finally get an actual picture I can put up on screen. So you can see the identities there of the J26. This follows hot on the heels of the J27 announced last year, which should be imminently arriving, I'm guessing. Looking really forward to the J27. I saw fully working decorated samples at Worley, so they really can't be that far off full production being in the shops. The Great Eastern Railway van you see there, the covered van, that for me is probably one of the two standout models from this announcement for me. Really looking forward to that, and certainly for pre-grouping models pre-grouping modelers, this is an amazing thing, and I'm really pleased to see this. And major kudos to Oxford Rail for daring to go into dip their toes in the world of pre-grouping wagons. They've also brought out the 4-plank, came out in the North British livery, so we're slowly starting to build a lovely train of pre-grouping wagons. And it's nice to see Oxford Rail are releasing these in the main range. They're not limited editions, so really pleased to see this. So, we've had limited editions from Bachmann, SECR liveried wagons, and also Garstang and Knott End Railway wagon as limited editions. But in terms of main range, Hornby did the South Eastern and Chatham Railway. Was it the 3-plank wagon? So that they are slowly appearing. So really pleased about these. But there we are, the standard Cowan Sheldon 15-ton crane wagon, coming in the BR Stoke MPD livery, the LMS Wellingborough livery, BR Stewart's Lane livery, and LNER Sunderland livery. So those people are saying, oh, there's nothing LMS. No, LMS Wellingborough, read the text there, OR76SCS1002. Really pleased to see that. And they've got the Mark 1 and the Mark 2 jibs, so you can see there. The LMS one is the Mark 2 jib, the BR Stoke MPD and BR Stewart's Lane appear to be the Mark 1, although I could be wrong on that. Mr. Devil 43 says, just this minute taking delivery of another of Rails SECR box van, sheer delight, so more pre-grouping freight stock, very welcome. I know, I got mine yesterday and I've been sent them for review. I've actually filmed the review, and that'll be coming up either next week or the week after. We've got a bit of a backlog of reviews at the moment. Saying that, I've got another 2 to film today, 3 to film today. So there's a huge amount of stuff coming through. It's really exciting times. Melchester Motherwell says the crane looks good, might be a cheaper alternative to the Bachmann. I think it certainly will be a cheaper version than the Bachmann one. You've got to remember that Oxford Rail brought out their amazing Bosch Buster wagon. It actually won an award for Best Wagon was it last year or the year before? And well deserved so. And they brought that out for a sub £50 price mark. Yes. So I am expecting good things to this wagon. And I'm guessing it's going to be sub £100 and maybe even closer to that Bosch Buster price. So really looking forward to this. Not getting prices yet. Scott has promised to send through some prices. So we might get a live interview. Oh, thank you very much. The Cupboard Monkey says it's great content, even though she is a little bit... You're what, sorry? It's very difficult. If I try talking to the stream whilst I'm typing, the problem is that I start typing what I'm saying, or I start saying what I'm typing. It's very difficult if you've ever tried doing that. But we've got some great wagons here. That Sheldon crane, I think, is going to really go well. And then the Pilchard wagon, again, another interesting and very different wagon. Engineers wagons, very popular. So I can see that being a sleeper hit as well. So, it's always the nothing in it for me, people. Yeah, they let the sarcasm commence. But yeah, so we've got some really great releases here from Oxford Rail. It's a much more chastened release schedule than Hornby has, but Oxford Rail, as people have said, is a really, really... it's a smaller company, a newer company. They're still finding their feet to some extent, although they've had a lot of experience doing the Oxford diecast range. So they're not new to the world of making models. It's just the rail range is comparatively new. So this is eminently deliverable. And as we've seen from previous years, that the Oxford Rail schedule is, when they announce it, it does come. I Like Transport says, not much of interest to me, but great for people who like that sort of thing. That's a very generic comment, isn't it? So I'm going to see whether Scott may do... It depends on... I'm not sure whether he wants to do it live. I'm not entirely sure. But certainly it'd be great if we could get Scott Rhodes on. I do want to ask him about some of these. Certainly the J26 following hot on the heels of the J27. It's an interesting choice, and I'm curious about what made them go for that over the J21. I saw quoted an awful lot online with people who were speculating. So very, very surprised at that, but I think it's going to be a great model and will complement their J27 perfectly. But this Great Eastern Railway covered van, that for me is one of the highlights of this range. And maybe it bodes well for more... pre-grouping suitable ready-to-run vans and opens. I'm really keen to see that, and it does also complement their N7 that they have in the range. They do that in a Great Eastern Railway grey livery. Interesting to see whether they might do a re-livery in the Prussian blue. That's certainly something that does potentially interest me and a number of other people as well, even though it didn't prototypically carry that livery in real life. Now these cranes as well, the cranes I think are standout for me. As I said before, this is going to be, it's blindsided a lot of people. I've heard people speculating about S160. A lot of people were saying, even the Class 81. The Class 81 I saw mentioned. A lot of people were predicting a Thomas Hill Vanguard shunter. But actually, I've not seen anybody guess any of these correctly, I have to say. These have blindsided the community, but the fact that we're all quite excited about the crane and the Great Eastern Railway van does say that Oxford Rail really do have their finger on the pulse. Oh, I'm running out of moisture here. I'm drinking my way through all my drinks. I'm doing a lot of talking. Excuse me. It's like radio, but without having songs to be able to... songs to break it up and give me a break. It was a Gamehammer Classic Gaming. Notice it was 2 to film, then immediately went up to 3 to film. I have filmed 5 videos for her by the end of the day. She's insatiable. Send help. No, don't send help. Send models. I love reviewing stuff. Melchester Model Railway. I wouldn't be surprised if 2 cranes work out cheaper than 1 Bachmann one. Yeah, absolutely. My guess, and I'm still waiting for confirmation on the RRPs, the predicted RRPs of these items. I suspect they're going to be sub £100, which immediately puts a pair of these to be less than 1 Bachmann wagon. I predict that the Bachmann crane is going to see some discounting to start shifting them, because it's going to have some stiff competition. They're not exactly the same type of crane, and I think that's a genius move from Oxford Rail. There's no point in going head-to-head on stuff like that. So the fact that they brought out a different crane really does cater well for the modeler. So, if you have the Bachmann crane, you can still get one of these because it is a different type of crane. Bob Patterson, absolutely right. A rake of those BP tank wagons will look cool. Yeah, there's some interesting tanker wagons coming through. I saw some of the samples of those at Whalley, and they do look really great. Particularly intrigued by the chassis on them. When you actually see these in the flesh, take a good close look at the chassis detail. It really is sublime. And certainly they've posted on their Facebook page some of the pre-production model pictures, which show there's actually a lot of separate metal parts on these. Things like the tank bands are a metal part separately applied. So these really are something special. And I think that that's something that Oxford Rail is doing particularly well, is establishing themselves as doing something different that is really, really well done. I know, people criticised when the Dean goods came out, but credit to Oxford Rail, they did fix some of the issues with their Dean goods. And as I've always said, the prices for these are really, really keen. When we compare that Bosch Buster for under £50, I said at the time, if we'd have seen the same wagon come out from some of the other manufacturers like Bachmann, we would have, it would have been up there at the £200 mark easily. So this is amazing value for money. And, I'm looking forward to some of the prices on these. And I think we're going to get this Great Eastern Railway 10-ton covered van, probably, certainly for under £20. And I would guess probably around the £15 mark would be my guess. AD Pullen says, as an LNER fan, has been a great year for me from Hornby and Oxford Rail. Very much so. LNER is getting very well catered for at the moment. In previous years, Hornby has done a lot of Southern Railway constituents, and also, didn't neglect them. The ex-London and South Western Railway brake van coming out was really good, and indeed getting that ready to run in the LSWR livery was really very welcome. And actually, I've just filmed a review on those wagons, and it's interesting that Hornby did two detailed differences between the early and late ones, which they haven't necessarily drawn attention to, but that detail difference is there, and you'll see that in the upcoming review. According to Brian Mozzer, J27 and J26 have the same wheelbase. I do wonder whether that's probably building on a lot of the experience from doing the J27, so we may actually see the J26 appear slightly quicker than the J27 has been coming along, because the J27 is obviously complete fresh start for them, but building on that experience will hopefully allow the J26 to turn up a lot quicker. And I think they're going to really complement each other. Great value locomotives, workhorses of the London and North Eastern Railway system. So I'm actually looking forward to both of those. They really do look great locomotives. And certainly one of my future plans is to try and build a model of Kirby Stephen East, deep in the heart of North Eastern Railway territory, and models like the J27, the J26 are very much welcome for doing a model of that. It's something that's a long-term plan. Ian Ryan says, good morning, nice surprise, very much so. Medway Peninsula Model Railway, I think Oxford Rail offer great value wagons that have good detail too, very much so. Very pleased with their open wagons. Their range of open wagons are immensely good value for money. You can pick them up for sub £10 when you shop around, so that is a great boon for modellers who have for quite a long time been subjected to these ever-rising prices coming from the other manufacturers. Gosh, I remember with fondness the days when the Bachmann wagons, like the 16-ton Mineral, the Blue Ribbon range ones, £5 used to be able to get them from. I think their original RRP was about £4.95, and that shows you just how much prices have risen since the late 1990s. Wardle Road, good morning to you. Leslie Gilpin, apparently one of those crane survivors at RPSI at Whitehead, Northern Ireland. That would be a slightly wider gauge. I believe that is at 5'3" Irish railways are, so including Northern Ireland as well. There's certainly some really interesting stuff going on here. But yeah, as you say, LNER very well catered for, but also don't forget there, we've got an LMS liveried crane. So there is at least something for people who modelled the LMS. Sparky 107, good morning to you. It's great to have you aboard. How's the shed coming along? I've been seeing your posts about that, and it does look like you've got a great space going on there. So great to have you aboard in this impromptu live stream on this Tuesday morning. So I'm going to go till 11, then I'm going to have to shoot off. But it's been great to have your company through this live stream. Let's just have a look. So looks like let's have a look. Right, okay. So it looks like we're going to do the interview another time. So basically, I'm rounding off now. We've got 20 more minutes to go. So Wardle Road, I think it's a tad too early in the morning to be dropping super chats. Oh, somebody dropped us. Did I miss one? But oh, you were very, very generous last night buying information from me like that. But yeah, it's weird. When I went to bed, I had a dream about that. I had a dream of watching the person who shall not be named going, "Oh, Johnny Cook's got a new live stream. Oh, I best watch that." Oh. Sparky 107 Shed has trains running. Will attempt to build a helix this weekend. Oh wow! Very much looking forward to that. Let's just try and. No! What did I just press? Are we still online? I've pressed a button and something went. I've accidentally pressed the wrong button. Cupboard Monkey, are we still online? Yeah. For some reason, Twitter came up instead. I don't want Twitter. Go away. I have no idea what happened then. Yeah, still live. Sorry, this Mac is still alien territory for me. I'm turning into my father as I get older. He was always a technophobe. And as a kid, I was really, I was always drawn into like show him how to use his computer and stuff. And I'll be honest, it's really weird. I now don't have I don't have my techno foo has disappeared as I've reached middle age. It's most disconcerting. Wardle Road, sorry for buying info. I wasn't being nosy. I was just interested when you mentioned it, what had happened. So, don't worry about it. But yeah, it's like an open secret. But I know that Simon A.C. Martin gets a lot of flack unnecessarily for that. So I feel compelled to put the record straight and say that Simon A.C. Martin was absolutely exemplary. He was edited out of context. And I thought that was a bit disingenuous, given that the person who caused all the trouble and made threats to the film crew and the rest of us, and was generally an absolute nightmare to work with, kind of got away scot-free because they edited him out. Ian Ryan says, I'm a technophobe. I drive a 30-year-old Volvo, remember? Never mind. Yeah, I drive a 23-year-old. When was it? 24? No, it's 24-year-old now. Looking forward to that, Sparky. Leslie Guppy. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing your models running actually as well. But the helix, helixes. I'd love to have built a helix in the loft. It's the one thing I thought about putting in and never did. And actually, it's my one regret not having had a helix in to get multiple fiddle level layers underneath. Probably should have put it in, didn't, regret it now. One of those things. Let's see what's going on. I don't think we're going to get an interview with Scott Rose. He's apparently incredibly busy. I'm guessing he's at the toy fair at the moment, fielding lots of inquiries. There's going to be a lot of excitement going on. So it's certainly been an interesting range. I'm not seeing anything new coming up from Hattons or Rails of Sheffield. Come on. See, I'm just trying to get this to reload. You're not seeing it on screen, so you're just seeing me looking perplexed. Oh, I love that word, perplexed. Wardle Road, what are your plans for the future with the layout? I don't really have any plans. I will be perfectly honest with you. My plans for the layout, there's the back scene to do. I'm probably just minor embellishments. I won't dismantle it. I think the layout's a keeper in the shed where yard is. I'm not going to break it up and dismantle it. I don't know whether I would redevelop the track plan at any point, take up track and relay it. I don't think I would. I do like the track planners I've got. There's only one thing I would do, actually. I need another access down from the upper layer going the other way, if that makes sense. So I could possibly add in another flyover junction thing with some bridges to be able to get so that trains can go up the ramp, over the bridge, over the flyover, round the upper layer, and then back down again, so I can kind of set up an alternative circuit. That I would like to do. It's another thing I regretted not doing, but yeah. Ben Davis, do you think we're going to get a corresponding wagon with crane? That I do wonder. It's one of the things I would have asked Scott in the actual interview, but certainly, Brian Martin says, just had an email from Scott with the list, so it looks like he has rushed off his feet. Email all his stockists. Yeah, very much. So I'm going to leave Scott Rhodes to do his thing. Obviously, he's holding down the fort, stopping it from floating away, and really, really busy. So, Adrian Chesterton said, I take it Rails and Hattons and other retailers are on coffee break since 10 a.m. I think they possibly haven't yet got the information, as Brian Martin says, just got his email. So, essentially, they should have come on the live stream. If Rails of Sheffield and Hattons had come on the live stream, big hello to Jack Morgan if you are secretly watching. What? No, I was incognito. How do you know I'm here? Then you'd have got the list early. So Scott was really kind in forwarding me that list 10 minutes before the embargo was lifted. And I was good. I did keep it to myself. But Ian Ryan says, perplexed is a perfectly crumulent word. Yes. Write that down, darling. We should use that more in everyday conversation. Wardle Road. I get so worried that when I finish my layout, I'll want to start all over. I know that feeling ever so well. Interesting. So, interesting. Right, we may just be able to get... Right, okay. I'm going to see if I can... We might just be getting the interview, so... we're going to hopefully try and get Scott up on an interview. So, Donald Thompson, they're on the to-do list, those clip-on mics. Right, we're going to get... I'm going to try and get up the... Let's see, so you don't have to have me looking down. So I'm going to see if we can... We're going to try and get Scott Rhodes on. So,
Hello, Scott Rhodes.
Hi, how are you doing? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you fine.
Oh, great. We're just doing the live stream at the moment. I would obviously...
I'm watching.
Brilliant. I'm just going to turn you down ever so slightly, just peeking in the reds. But I have to say, I would never have guessed any of those items. I'm guessing you're getting a really great response from some of these.
Yeah, it's been an interesting morning. So obviously, there's a few things which people weren't expecting, like the cranes, for example. So, it's been a manic morning here in Olympia. So, it's been a good morning. It's been a good morning.
I mean, for me, I guess there's two standout items: the Great Eastern Railway 10-ton covered van and the standard Cowan Sheldon 15-ton crane. And I mean, I just find it amazing that nobody even guessed that these were on their way. Does this mean we're going to see more pre-grouping rolling stock, do you think, coming through? Is that a big boom area?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the pool of railway things to model and produce is getting smaller. So the anomalies which people thought you'd never see appearing ready to run will start to appear. So, I mean, pre-grouping, I think, is quite an interesting time because every company had something different. So there wasn't a generic diagram, for example, like in BR days, for example. So, I mean, obviously, there's plenty in the pipeline, but... Yeah, we shall have to see, as they say.
Very much. And the J26 as well. I'm presuming that that's building on a lot of the experience you've had developing the J27. So are we likely to see that come through quicker than the J27 is? Or are we looking at a similar timescale for that?
No, so I mean, obviously, when I designed the 27, I mean, the 26 was always in my mind and was more or less planned along the same time. So obviously, it'll be a lot quicker than the 27 because the J27 had to be tooled from scratch.
Yeah.
I designed the 26 to be to use standard parts. So obviously, they were very similar. I mean, there were detail differences, but the detail differences I tooled at the same time as the 27. So once we get the J27 out, then the 26 shouldn't be far behind, pending disaster. I mean, that's always the party line, you know. Something could go wrong. So it shouldn't be as long as the J27. So it should be fairly quick after. But I mean, there are differences between the two different, even though they were very, very similar. But I mean, there were differences between the two.
Yeah, because I saw you had the J27 on show at Whalley, and it was an amazing model. So I'm really looking forward to that J26. If that's even half as good as what you showed at Whalley, that's going to be a great model.
Well, I hope so. I mean, the J27 has been well received. I mean, and it's nice to get a lot of positive comments back from it. I mean, obviously, when you show a sample, a first engineering sample, it's good to be critiqued. I'm not perfect, and neither anybody else who's designing these models. We do miss things. Unfortunately, we all suffer with being human, and human error does jump into it sometimes. But yeah, I mean, it's good to show these off to our customers, and then somebody who might have a bit of a snippet of information will say, well, this is wrong or this is right, and so yeah, it's always good. So. And we're just building from the J27 to produce the J26.
No worries, and I'm actually interested as well about the crane, because obviously you did incredibly well with the Bosch Buster wagon that came out, is it last year or the year before, which actually won you an award. I'm wondering whether the reaction to such an interesting and unique wagon as that has kind of made you look for these more interesting prototypes, such as the Sheldon 15-ton crane, to build on that success.
Yeah, I mean, the Bosch Buster was very, very left compared to what people were expecting, and people said, "Oh, that'll never sell," and it's done excellently. I mean, it's sold out so quick. I mean, we'll be rerunning the World War II variant, which is due anytime soon, as a second batch, and will go out for sale. So, yeah, I mean, the Bachmann crane that was done is fantastic. It's a fantastic bit of kit. I'm a modeler myself, so I mean, it is fantastic. But sometimes you don't need something that big. And the Cowan Sheldon crane, the 15-ton, I mean, it's small, and it had a lot of purposes. I mean, from if there was a derailment or if it was needed for lifting bridges into place, etc., etc. So, yeah, it just seemed like a part of the market which hadn't been captured, because not everybody's got large layouts to run big breakdown cranes. So, and it's quite a different. The actual prototype had a lot of variation, because obviously it was a standard design, but each company had different details on it, changed the details of the accessories to suit their company. And this is why, obviously, we've not done it with a match wagon. So I noticed. Sorry, go on.
I was just somebody did ask about match wagons. I mean, what sort of wagons would be suitable to use as a match wagon to go with that?
Yeah, I mean, each company, if you're Midland and then obviously it was absorbed into LMS, I mean, they had their own match wagons, or they tended to adapt a wagon they had to suit the purpose. I mean, I can't remember which company it was off the top of my head now because I'm in Olympia, but they adapted a 3-plank wagon with, and they put tool chests underneath between the chassis and the brake gear. So the match wagons are very, very different. And once you start putting the match wagons in, you're actually limiting your, you're limiting the final product then, because that was only suitable for one company.
Right, I'm with you.
So what I've done is, obviously the crane will come as a generic. I mean, different companies added roofs onto near the boiler for the workers to be covered during the rain. But what there will come is there'll be a jib support which will fit a plank wagon. So then the end user, the customer, can then adapt one of their wagons to suit to suit their needs. But I mean, it's not ideal. But I mean, once you start doing the match wagons, because every company is so different, it would start putting the price up of the product then, because you'd have to keep tooling all these different wagons.
Right.
I mean, it's possible for the future. I mean, never say never.
Yeah.
But obviously, it gives you that bit of modeller's license, then, for want of a better word. Then you could use a generic a wagon that's already on the market.
Yeah.
I mean, there are quite a few similar ones from other companies that are very similar to what was used. So by putting the jib holder in it, then you haven't got to then put the price up to accommodate the additional wagon. So it just makes it more accessible to everybody in the market. I mean, not everybody's lavish with lots and lots of money. I mean, you try to make a product accessible to everybody in the industry.
It's one of the things as well, we touched on price there, that the Bosch Buster wagon came out at an incredibly good value price. I mean, they were around for sub £50 in the shops. Do you have a rough sort of ballpark figure for the RRP for the crane?
I haven't at the moment. I mean, what I'll do is, I haven't got the prices to hand. So what I'll do is, when I do get the prices, I can put them on the Facebook page, and then everybody can take them off and use them as they wish. I mean, obviously the different model shops will have that information soon. But unfortunately, I just don't have it to hand at this point in time, unfortunately.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, it's just, I think Oxford Rail, one of the things that you guys have really done well at bringing to the market is this immense value for money with your products. That you make them very accessible to modelers on a more limited financial budget. And, with the Bosch Buster in particular, I was just so impressed that you could bring a wagon out of that quality at such a good, keen price. So I'm interested to see things like the crane, whether that's going to follow suit in that kind of price bracket.
Yeah, I mean that's the one good thing about Oxford is we don't put silly price in the products we make. I mean, obviously we try to get them accessible to everybody, so everybody can afford the product. I mean, obviously, things out of our control are, exchange rates and the cost of the raw material to produce the wagon. Things like that are out of our hands. So obviously we do have to factor that in. I mean, and that's why prices do go up generally, because the raw material to produce the product is getting more expensive, and obviously to produce it in the factory, you've got to pay staff. So yeah, I mean, obviously all that is factored in, but we try to keep our prices as low as possible so it's accessible to everybody and not just not a few then.
Will there be other announcements throughout the year, things like re-liveries? I take it they're dealt with separately and will come out as and when, or is there a separate listing for those?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, our announcement is not going to be the size of Hornby. I mean, the announcement this year was fantastic and it was really impressive.
Yeah.
But I mean, there will be re-liveries during the year. I mean, it depends really on how well something sells. I mean, if it doesn't sell that well, then to do a re-livery, it doesn't make sense. But I mean, there are a few things which I thought, we could do a re-livery on that. So yeah, I mean, during the year you will see additional announcements. We normally tend to do it about May time.
Right. Okay.
But that's not fixed in stone. It's just as and when. It only ties in with the diecast announcement that we had new liveries in. But I mean, never say never. I mean, there are quite a few things up my sleeve that will make an appearance. But it'll be later in the year.
Brilliant. Well, I know that you're incredibly busy. It must be quite wild down there with bringing out this announcement and everybody clamouring for information. So thanks very much for coming on the show and just
no problem.
Telling us a little bit more about that. And I know you're jetting off to Germany. Is that at the Munich Toy Fair?
Yeah. I mean, it is manic here at the moment, and obviously we are tied with signal here for use of internet. So I mean, some of the images weren't the best because of it. But yeah, then we're off to Germany next week then to the Toy Fair in Nuremberg. So it's a busy 2 weeks for us in Oxford. So.
Brilliant. Well, I thanks very much for joining us. It's been really great, and I look forward to seeing these models in the shop. It's been a great announcement and some really, really good inspired announcements there. So thanks for joining us.
You.
Scott Rhodes from Oxford Rail.
Thanks very much. Bye-bye.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.
So there we go, people. We just had Scott Rhodes from Oxford Rail live from the London Toy Fair, just giving us a little bit more detail on the items in the range. So big thank you to Scott for joining us here on the live stream. Just having a look down some of your comments. Lakota Theorauf. All right, what did I miss? It's the Oxford Rail announcements, the 2020 range announcements. Basically, on your screen, you've got the list of the new items that are coming through. The standout ones for me are the Great Eastern Railway 10-ton covered van, but also the standard Cowan Sheldon 15-ton crane. And if their Bosch Buster of last year, the year before, is anything to go by, that is going to be an amazing wagon at an amazing price. So that really is one to look out for. But to see pre-grouping wagons coming through ready to run in pre-grouping liveries, that as well for me is a good highlight. And also you heard it there from Scott, the J26 following hot on the heels of the J27. Basically this is going to be quicker coming through because when they've tooled up the J27, they've taken account of being able to produce the J26, which is actually a lot of what I said that Bachmann should have done with the J72. With clever tooling options, they could have produced the fairly similar J71 as well, but they so far haven't chosen to pursue that option. So that really is an inspired choice, and actually getting the explanation there from Scott, it does make sense why they've gone for the J26 as a follow-up to the J27. But that's about all we've got time for today. I'm going to round this up now. We're coming up on 11 o'clock. So it's been actually really exciting, and a big thank you to Scott Rhodes from Oxford Rail for taking the time out from a very busy London Toy Fair at Olympia to speak with us about some of those models, and really looking forward to seeing them filter through, and hopefully we'll be able to get some reviews of some of these a little bit later in the year as they come out. But to all of you who've been watching and listening, it's been great to have your company. Don't forget to like the channel, like the video, and subscribe to the channel. And tell everybody as well about the good work that we're doing here. And also a big thank you must go out to Ken Patterson of What's Neat This Week, who apparently mentioned me on his last live stream. I need to actually watch that. The What's Neat This Week podcast, I should say. It's not done live. They do an hour podcast, and I need to actually get myself watching that, because I'm told, and judging by the comments on my videos, there's a number of people come through who found me off the back of that. So a big thank you to Ken Patterson, and for that shout out. Right, but look, you all take really good care of yourself. We're going to have a review video is coming up tomorrow, which will be a Bachmann item, is what I'll tell you about that. So look out for that. It's really interesting. It's one I've been looking out for a while. We then have a Hornby review of a locomotive on Saturday, and we've got an old versus new video on Friday to follow on with the Hornby centenary year, and that's going to be the Class 8 shunter. There you are, a little hint for Friday. But stay tuned to this frequency, same bat channel, same bat frequency, and it's been great to have your company. You have yourself a really great Tuesday. Well, it's Tuesday here at 11 a.m. in the morning, or whatever time it is where you are. I know the Australians amongst us are probably now thinking about heading off to bed, but look, you all take care, and I'll catch you next time. Bye for now.